Hi guys, it's Erisa. It's been a minute, but I'm back here to talk about divine intervention. A lot of people don't understand divine intervention, and it happens for some people, and some people will never experience it. But I have experienced divine intervention, and just recently I'm in the middle of this experience. As you can see, I had surgery. I have a cast on. I cut my middle tendon in my finger. And this is a part of my divine intervention. Now, you might say that's an unfortunate situation. And it is. Excuse me. It is, but it is a part of God working things together for my good, and I'm explaining this. And I always say that whenever you pray, you can't tell God how to do something. When you pray, you just send that prayer up, and He takes that prayer and makes it into the answer for you, but you cannot control how He gives you the answer because He is sovereign and He is your God, so He does it in the best way possible for you. And I'm explaining this, and this is the main reason why people don't understand divine intervention. So I'm going to tell you there are 3 experiences, and I'm going to start with the first one. And my first experience with divine intervention was when I prayed first. And I was so tired of repeating the same mistake. And I said, Lord, you need to help me. I said, whenever I'm about to repeat this mistake, or whenever this challenge comes back up in my life, I said, I want you to help me with this. And I said, you need to put a barrier, or you need to make me realize, hey, you're going in the wrong direction. You need to stop, or wake up, or shake me up, or something. And I was open to that, and I was willing for Him to step in. So when you ask God for something, He does it, okay? But you must open your will to Him. You can't just assume that He's going to come into your life and make all things great, or stop all bad things and everything that's, wrong in your life. You need to ask Him and talk to Him and have that relationship with Him, because you have free will, okay? So He won't interrupt things. But if you ask Him to help you with things, He does. Well, let me explain to you my first divine intervention. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I'm not proud, but there's, this person in my life that I've known since I was a teenager. And, he was my first love and everything. And, I really cared about him. And even though I cared about him, he was a thorn in my side. Because, he would say I was his Achilles heel. And I would say, you know what? Okay, it's like the same thing. There's a weakness that would come over me concerning him. But I learned to deal with that. But anyway, time passed on, and, I had got a divorce from my husband, and he had got married. And so our paths just were never aligned to be together. So, but we remained friends, more on his end, wanting to remain friends. I mean, being that we grew up together and all. I didn't shadow it. I just kind of didn't contact him and stuff. Being that he was married and all, I didn't contact him. So if any conversation ever happened, he reached out to me, but I just left it at that. And, out of respect to marital union and, his wife, I didn't even know her, but I respect that union. So whether I knew him as a child or not, that's first and foremost. So this is the thing. He had requested that I meet him one day. And I told him I wasn't certain about meeting him. It wasn't necessary. But, he wanted to watch the game and hang out and stuff like that, which I was like, you need to be doing those things with your wife, And I already knew where this was going, and I felt, even though it would be innocent, the devil does like playing ground. So I didn't put that away from my mind. I kept that at the forefront, saying, you have to watch this situation. Whether you just want to see him for a moment or not, it doesn't matter. You need to be on guard of this, okay? And so I was like, well, it's been a few years, so maybe I'll just go and say hi or whatever. No. I knew that this was a dangerous situation for me because I still cared about him. And God knew how I felt about him. I've brought this situation up to the Lord many times, and God knew what his intentions were, but I didn't. So, I let him coax me into making arrangements into meeting him one day. And my heart was just pounding out of my chest because I knew that I couldn't handle meeting him. I knew that I couldn't handle being in the same room with him, even if it was just to say hi and, sit and talk. No, I couldn't handle that because, my care for him was way beyond friends because, he was set in my heart already. So, even though I knew all of this, I still said, well, let me see, if I can handle just, meeting him today and all. So I got in my car, and the Lord knew I couldn't handle this, and I wouldn't be able to handle him in the future. If he asked to see me again, I probably wouldn't want to go, and if I did entertain it, it wouldn't be a good idea. So I still was getting in my car, and I was going in that direction. I stopped to put some gas, and then when I left the gas station, I pulled out and I got onto the highway, and my car immediately stopped. Well, it didn't stop, the transmission just stopped moving. And my car started to slow down, and I couldn't pick up speed. And I was going maybe 40 miles per hour, then it slowed down to 20. And I said, I immediately knew in the spirit, I was like, Lord, you helped me. I was like, you stopped this. This was a divine intervention because I was on my way to destruction. You knew I was on my way into a situation that I couldn't handle, that I shouldn't be in, and that I was tempted into against my will, and I was still doing it. And so he shut it down for me. He shut it down for me. And to this day, I'm so amazed at the Lord because he knew I wanted to go, but I didn't want to go. And he knew it wasn't best for me. I knew it wasn't best for me, but I entertained that idea. And I'm glad that he stopped my car because I was in rebellion and I was going anyway. And the Lord has a call in my life and a will for me, and I was going to be out of his will. So he divinely intervenes in my life to keep me in his will. And the Holy Spirit is your guide. So I immediately knew the Lord did this. My father did this. Like discipline to a child. He immediately turned me around and said, no, you will not do this. Go back home. So I drove and I tried to see if I could turn around. So I got down the road. I turned around. I called him and I said, something just happened to my car. I said, I can't make it. I said, I'm going to have to turn around and go back home. And he was disappointed, but he didn't seem like he was too concerned about helping me or coming to help me. And that's when the Holy Spirit said, this is a spirit in disguise. This is, the enemy is working against you. This person is not in your best interest. Because you could tell by the compassion and the empathy of my situation. And I'm going to see you, and you are not even offering to help me get back home or anything. So, because you have a situation that you need to take care of without, your wife finding out what you're up to. So I said, wow, the Lord just exposed the devil right in front of me. And I knew it, but he made it relevant to me, and he showed it to me up front. And I'm grateful for that experience, because a lot of times we're led astray and we think it's an emotion, we think it's destiny, or we think it's harmless, when it really is behind the scenes very harmful. And the Lord exposed it. And that was my first experience with divine intervention. And that act of rebellion that I almost got into, that I didn't fully commit, still cost me a wage. And I had to spend $4,300 on repairs to my car for my transmission. And I learned my lesson. I was like, God, you showed me. I'm ashamed of it, but I'm not ashamed. I understand that was my discipline. That was God judging me on my actions, and he did. And it cost me, and I'm still paying on that note. It's been 2 years, and I still have a few payments left on that. And I said, you know what? I'm glad I went through that. I'm glad God showed me how important it is to follow his will and be righteous and walk in his ways and resist the devil and temptation when he comes at you, because he is not your friend and he sets you up to fail. And if I would have followed through with that, friend or no friend, childhood friend or no childhood friend, just the temptation and danger of it was enough to damage me. And God knew that my heart was in him, and he wanted me to keep it there. And if I would have entertained this person, I would have fallen away from my focus, and I didn't want to do that. Or be tempted to sin, I didn't want to do that either. So thank God that he intervened. So needless to say, I never entertained that idea again. And he is still my friend, and I just never meet him. I never interact with him that way. And he doesn't ask anymore, because I told him I'm not going to do that. And I refuse to get caught up in that. And, he needs to respect his own marriage as much as I do. So if he don't, that's sad. But anyway, my second divine intervention was, no, I don't remember that one. Well, let me just tell you the one I'm in at the moment. I might remember the next one. The one I'm in at the moment, I cut my hand. At home, I was cleaning a plate. See, I have a cast one. And I cut my tendon. Now, before this happened, I was praying to God, and I was saying, Lord, I'm just so tired with my job, and I'm about to start school and all this, and I was like, I have to work and go to school. I'm trying to get out of this job because it's stressful on me, and I have I'm diabetic, so I was not succeeding in keeping my numbers right, and it was just a hardship for me, and I was struggling with trying to focus on eating right and get my numbers right, to be out of a diabetic range and everything, and it just wasn't working. And then I was so frustrated, you know, with working the night shift, and I was, I seemed to be just so distressed and edgy a little, and I don't like that. I don't like being stressed and out of focus and everything. So, I've tried several times to get it together, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. I was just so caught up in work, and I would overeat, and I like sweet, so I would just overindulge, and that's not healthy for my numbers. So anyway, I was home and I cut my hand, and I immediately had to go to the emergency room. And so when they told me I cut my tendon and I would have to have surgery, and I was disappointed in myself because I cut my hand, and I'm always trying to be careful and perfect and watching everything so I don't make a mistake. But God just showed me that I really need Him because I am not perfect. He is in control of my life, and He directs my path, and He made me. He is my Father. He created me, so I'm going to make mistakes. Whether it's intentional or by accident, I am not perfect. And He let me see that I can do everything right and walk upright in His ways and everything. But that I still fall short of the glory of God, like the Word says, because I am simply human. And I am not perfect until I make heaven. So He showed me that because I need Him. He wants us to need Him. And I couldn't do anything about my hand. And the only person that can heal me is Him. There's not enough medicine in the world that can change the healing power of God. So He put me in a situation where I had to rely on Him for my healing. And He gave me a double blessing, because it was a divine intervention, number 2, on my diabetes. And I asked God, I'm like, I see what you're doing. I said I prayed about my health concern, and you intervened in 2 ways. You see, being that my hand is cut so severely and I had the surgery, anytime I would eat sugar or carbs or anything that would raise my blood glucose, my hand would swell, or I would feel the rushing of the blood in my veins in my wounds. So it was so uncomfortable. And I'm like, I can't deal with this. I said, I have to just leave the sugar alone, leave the sweets alone, leave the carbs alone, and stick to a diet where I have to cut, carbs off altogether, or sweets off altogether, and just stick to, soups or healthy foods until I heal, or it won't heal fast enough, or I'm going to stop my healing process if I keep consuming sugar this way. So I said, oh my God. I said, Lord, you did it. I said, you helped me to get my diabetes under control, because I have no choice now. Because I will experience pain in my hand and being uncomfortable with the healing process, if I do consume sugar, it's very painful. And I said, oh my goodness. I said, Lord, you did it again. I said, you intervened in my situation. You gave me the answer, even though it might look like a negative situation to cut your hand, and you're in an injury and you have a setback. The setback elevated me up into a healing, because now I'm forced to do the right thing with my food consumption and my medication, and watching what I'm eating. I'm forced to do it, and I have the will to do it, because if I don't, I'm gonna set myself back. So the Lord just put me in a box to where I have to heal. And this was just like when you take a child and you say, you know what, you're in time out. I'm gonna do this. I gave you a chance, and now you need my help. You asked me to help you, so this is gonna be done his way. So he's doing it, and I'm thankful. We don't always be grateful for how God works, but when we pray, we should just be honored that he is willing to answer us and come through for us in any way. And don't complain about how he does it. As long as he gets your prayer answered, you should be grateful that he showed himself to you. And he knows what's best. He knows how to do things. It might not be your way or how you think it should be done, but he is so much more smarter than us. He is so much more knowledgeable, and he knows the perfect way in every situation. So just take his mercy and his grace and just receive that as blessings in your life, because you don't know everything and you don't always have the answers. And plus, with this setback, I got time off from work and I get to really rest. And I was saying that I was so tired, and sleep, will help with my healing. And I'm determined to go back to my doctor and see better numbers. And, the devil, what he meant for evil, God turned it around for good. So always know that he has your best interest at heart. And I just wanted to encourage you, because he does intervene. And he intervenes for those that are in him, that are in his covenant, that are his children. And the ones that are not saved, are not in his will, that's probably why you never see him intervene. But he can. He does what he has to do for the people he loves and for people he calls. So you could be an unsaved person, but have a call on your life, and he'll work for you and on your behalf, simply because he called you, but you're not in the will yet, or in his will yet. But he will be there for you. You just need to open yourself to him. And when you do that, you need to be really real with him, because he is real and he does show himself. You just have to be looking and open to seeing him show himself in your life. And in Psalms 50, it speaks about that. In Psalms 50, it talks about how he will show himself to you when you call on him, and you're his people. He will answer you and deliver you from evil. So that's my story, my personal testimony on divine intervention. And all you have to do is have faith, and faith is believing. If you know that God created this earth, and there is no other way that this beauty and this majesty can be created, that's faith. Because there's no explanation for it. You know he created you, and you can't contest that you were made by someone or something. So that's faith, and that's unreversible. You are created. Creation is already done. So that's 2 steps of faith that you can use and say, you know what? If I don't have enough faith to believe in this, I at least know that with the creation of this earth and the creation of me as a person, I can believe those 2 things. So why not? Why would not believe in this, that he can do this? And as you increase your faith, he reveals himself to you more and more, and your faith increases. So just know that God is there for you. You need to be there with him. But thank you for listening to my testimony, and I will always share with you what God shares with me. So be blessed. Love you. Bye-bye.